Now, Ruben, just going back through what you sent me earlier. Basically, so obviously you're still planning to be a Tower Fire Warrior. That hasn't really changed at all, has it? Alright, cool. So, yep, the Fire Warrior. I'm just trying to recall whereabouts. You did send me a character sheet, didn't you? Okay, yep. Let me just pick that up. Yeah, so you've done your characteristics, so that's good. So basically, that's the first point of contact. We might as well run through there. So just to confirm, in case they've changed from what you sent me, your weapon skill is 33, your ballistic skill is 39, your strength is 33, your toughness is 38, your agility is 42, your intelligence is 33, your perception is 39, your willpower is 41, and your fellowship is 36. Is that pretty much as you got written down for you? Excellent. Alright, so the next part that we need to just double check so that we haven't forgotten. Oh, wait, sorry, I'll hold up.
It's not doing that for me.
That might be something coming through. I don't know. I remember this happening with Red when he had to try and connect up to one of the Pathfinder sessions through his phone and it doing the playback. So I don't know what's happening there. All right then. Um, right. So basically, you've gone through a number of the various Tau things. So can you just confirm for me your classified competence that you selected? I've got written down for you that you selected the what was it, precise hunter. Just trying to find. Yeah, there you go. Yep, precise hunter. Excellent. And just for your curiosity, faction, who's the other Tower Fire Warrior, he what did he pick? He was going to go Precise Hunter, but then he changed that, and he's now an exemplar of Unity. Um,
Hey, Freeze.
yeah, hey Freeze. Ruben, if it's doing it, it might be wise to reconnect. Alright, so considering that's happened, just where'd I put it? Rise for you. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. You picked up on that. I've allocated a character sheet to you. Excellent.
Yes. I figured the current name will do for now, which is placeholder.
Yeah.
And as soon as I typed it, I'm like, I wonder if I should just keep that. One thing I was going to double check, after I actually read up the whole thing, I have no idea if I'll ever get to this point in this game, but the basic aim is I'd like to end up as a Farseer, but I don't know if this like has a multi-classing system, anything like D&D, in terms of like Farseer having to have war experience and then Seer experience and then become a Farseer.
Uh, so yeah, basically what I'm still working on it at the moment. The way that uh, the way that Rogue Trader as a system works is that there are these things called alternate career ranks, and they're kind of like probably the best comparison I can give is that they're kind of like a prestige class,
Radio.
and
Oh, I
basically
forgot to mention, to become a Farseer, you also first have to become a Warlock.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
Yeah.
So the a number of a number of the books, the expanded filler books outside the core rulebook gives options for advanced career paths, and the way those function is that basically with the advanced career path, you have your standard career path, but then when you get to a certain rank, so say for instance you get to rank 3 in something, you are given the option to be like you can take the regular options for rank 3 for your standard career path, or alternatively you can pick up this advanced career path as well.
Fair enough.
Sorry, in replace of, not as well. You have to choose. You have to pick your basic, or you have to pick the advanced.
Yeah. So it is sort of like some of the prestiges that class,
A
prestige
little bit.
classes. And
Yeah, I'm still working through it at the moment, but the way I'm planning it so far is that a warlock is an advanced career path that unlocks for a seer or an aspect warrior at rank 4 in the career path, so it's fairly experienced.
yeah, radio.
And then after that, if we do get to that point, I've got the for the if you continue down that path after picking up the warlock uh, advanced career path, you get the option to unlock and go into a fast seer at rank 6.
Yeah,
So
radio.
I'm still having to work through it because I'm basically having to pretty much create some of these from scratch. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, just as a comparison, the basic advanced career paths I've got in mind for the seer are a bone singer, a spirit seer, a warlock, or a farseer.
Alright, I
For
considered the idea of Bone Singer, like reading up on it. I'm like, I could do some horrible things with that character.
well, it's I'm working on the rules for making that an actual alternate career path, so there is the option for you to take that up at some stage. But yeah, it's basically it's a bit of a trade-off for certain other things. You get access to things you wouldn't normally have, but at the same time you trade off for things that you would normally get.
Yeah.
And just as like a comparison, uh, for the aspect warrior, my alternate idea in terms of a career path, an alternate career path, I've got the guardian, an exarch, also a warlock, or an autarch. If you go into a warlock, you kind of close yourself off and you can't become an autarch.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of the other classes, other career paths are pretty much the same. So, for instance, as a tower fire warrior, you can go into a number of different things. So, the three options that they give are either a pathfinder, a drone controller, or a basically a crisis suit.
Shit.
But a crisis suit, if I double check, crisis thing, and you can only unlock that at level rank 5 or above, and that does
Yeah.
not guarantee access to an actual battle suit. You have to go out and acquire that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the other thing is trying to find the suit. I think Eldar are gonna have a few issues with that because they've got a lot of pretty crazy things in their items as well.
Yes, I've re read through a bunch of the rule books and things like that, and let's just say that there's a few things that I'm basically gonna have to say, uh, very unlikely you're actually gonna find. For instance, finding a wraith cannon.
Oh, what
Yeah,
was? I can't remember the name of it. The Harlequins. I think it's Dark Jesters. I
oh
can't remember.
yes,
They basically have
jesters.
ranged
Yeah.
units, and I cannot remember the name of the guns they use, but they basically shoot out filament wire, like at
Um,
extreme range,
I did
and
actually find
just
that.
melt people's innards.
I did actually find that. I believe, yeah, it's the Eldar Death Spinner. It is literally freaking powerful. It's written in the book, and it's ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
Chances of actually finding that though are incredibly slim. And I mean, I've already had to make some trade-offs for you guys in general, just to incorporate the fact that you are Eldar. But I don't know if you got my message. I had to change something from the document that I sent you for the seer in terms of your starting gear.
Okay.
Yeah, so I realize in hindsight that giving a basically a starting character Eldar seer rune armor is way too overpowered.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I saw that, and as much as I'd love to argue, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's the just the extra rules that are attached to rune armor make it ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's right. The gun I was thinking of specifically is the Shrieker cannon. Like the I can't remember what the other one was called. The one that you said.
the Death Spinner.
Uh, yeah, that releases bundles of the filament wire. This is a wire. Think of it as like a sniper version.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's literally just they shoot at them at fairly decent range. Just the single wire that hits them and thrashes about inside.
that might
It's
be the
Shrieker
Shuriken
cannon.
cannon.
Oh, it's actually
Yeah.
specifically the Shrieker. I'd never heard
Okay.
of it before until I started reading up about the Harlequins.
Yeah.
Actually, that's easiest comparison. It's the Harlequins. What's it called? The Kiers? The spike they have on their arm.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally a gun version of that.
Yeah. I think I've found. Yeah. It's the Death Spinner is basically, from what I can find, is the close range version of that, and even then, that's
Yeah,
really strong.
yeah, yeah. It is. It so is.
Yeah. I haven't actually found any rules for that, but I might dig around and see if I can find something on that because there are a bunch of books that might have access to that. Anyway, I don't quite know. Freeze was around, but then he's had to duck out again, so
Yeah,
might go back to you, Ruben, just to get your stuff out of the way. Um, so, yep, you've chosen the classified competence precise hunter. Uh, for for faction, he's changed a few things around, and he's gone for. He messaged me about it, but he went for the exemplar of unity classified competence. So different, but his background, he's as he's described to me, is going to be a little bit interesting to tie it in with yours. And so we've done your stats. We've done in terms of other things that you get for being a Tau. You get all the standard things that are listed in the Tau basic equipment gear. So you classify all of those starting skills. You count as being trained, so you can use those skills without penalty. You get all those starting talents as well, which is uh, most of those talents are written in the Tau actual rulebook, so it's pretty easy to just verify those across. And that starting gear is pretty much as written there, so no major differences there. At Yeah, so in terms of that, I can't recall. Did you end up picking a pulse rifle or a pulse carbine? I didn't have it on your sheet. Ah, okay, all good. And yep. So basically, you and faction have basically the same idea. He's also gone for the sniping route with the pulse rifle. You guys will do basically the same thing. Um, Now, your starting fate points. I'm going to deviate slightly from what's written in the book here because I believe it's a horrible, horrible idea. Um, the rules as written for Tau is that Tau only get one fate point, but I'm willing to let you roll for that. So I don't know what the capability of the Roll20 app is from a mobile phone, but if you're able to roll at all, I just require you to roll a 1d10 on a result of 1 to 5. That is, you start off with 2 fate points. On a result of 6 to 10, that you start off with 3 fate points. And fate points are basically oh, okay then. You start off with 2 fate points. That's not the worst that could happen, honestly. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you re-roll that. It was an option of 2 or 3. You just rolled to get 2. For those who will be watching this later, uh, it's a natural 1 on a d10, so he starts off with only 2 fate points. Uh,
Yeah. Holy crap, I hope I roll high.
yeah.
I think I'm going to have a lot of bad dice rolls. I was just kind of reading up on some of my abilities. I'm probably going to try to push way too frequently because I'm
Oh,
an
oh.
idiot.
Please tell me you have read the uh,
Like the phenomenon and the perils of the warp tables.
also, did you read what I put into the Eldar character creation Word doc, which is the Eldritch Mastery?
Uh, yes.
It mean that one trait means that Elder Psykers are actually better uh, than every other race in terms of just, not
Sure
reaching out
are.
into the warp.
Yeah, because
But
we technically operate through runes.
yeah, but the moment you start pushing, if something goes wrong in a big way.
Yep. I mean, obviously, you can get some pretty crazy benefits out of it, but, you know, getting
Yeah.
eaten by Slaanesh is probably a good counterbalance.
Yes. So, words of the wise: don't get eaten by Slaanesh. Also, do we have a freeze? Did you manage to get online?
I could hear a bit of buzzing before the freeze that might have been coming from you, but I can't hear you talking.
Yeah. Same. If you're talking at all, I can't quite hear you. Well, I can't hear anything actually. Ruben, you can't talk. You don't even have a microphone. Gosh. All right. Um, just as we're still going, might as well keep things moving. Uh, Ruben, I need you to roll a 1d5, and then to this result, you will need to add 8. Uh, that's a bugger freeze. Hopefully,
Might
something sorts itself out.
could just be like configuration somewhere.
Maybe, yeah. It could even be a Google Hangout setting that's screwed up.
Nice.
You are very fortunate because that means with your toughness bonus of 3, which is equal to the tens digit of your toughness score, you the way this is basically to calculate your starting wounds. So for a tower character, your starting wounds is a 1d5 plus 2 plus double your toughness bonus. So with a toughness score of 38, that means your toughness bonus is 3. So you add 1d5 plus 2 plus 3 doubled. So you add 1d5 plus 8. So you have a wounds score of 13, which is
The
roughly
Tau's the
equivalent to your
tank.
hit points. Yes, roughly equivalent to hit points. Now, I must ask a question, uh, Ruben. How keen are you on potentially acquiring that um, that shield drone? Because I must ask, how keen are you? And I say this in the most malevolent GM way possible. Basically, I've had to balance the fact that you can't have half a drone. I've had to balance the fact that there are Eldar in this game, and Tau have good weaponry, but I've basically given um, both Techie and Faction a few bonuses because they're not Eldar, because Space Elves, non-Space Elves need some love too. So as part of this, I'm willing to give you something. I can't give you a drone though straight off the bat because that's a little bit too powerful. But on the flip side, I'm willing to give you the opportunity to roll for a shield drone if. No, I'm not giving Rise a weird filament weapon. He's not getting that. Now,
An Eldar Seer with a Harlequin's kiss.
no. Now, Ruben, I'm willing to give you a shield drone if you're willing to accept something in exchange. And this thing is you will need to roll to see how many insanity points you start off with. Considering your backstory, I feel this is the most apt.
What?
Well, he wants to start off with a shield drone, and I'm not giving him a shield drone unless he takes something, takes a penalty. Oh no! If you want that shield drone, you want insanity points. You can't take
Hey,
Vicodin for barely surviving Tyranids. Jeez.
Space Vicodin.
All right. Don't worry, don't worry. Just FYI, we went through Techie's background. Because of Techie's background as a mechanicus, basically he got shipwrecked on a Space Hulk. He's starting off with 9 insanity points and 3 corruption points. So
Holy shit. And
he's
here's me
very close.
thinking, like, I've got
Yeah.
chances to do 1d5s for insanity when I stuff things up. You're starting with 9.
Well, the bad things start happening when you hit 10.
No, he's a filthy human. I
All
mean,
right.
he's filthy human.
All right. So, Ruben, basically because Tau is actually ridiculously easy to get set up, um, you're basically all set to go. What you do now have is that if you refer to the rank 1 advances that you can select as a Tau Fire Warrior on page 13 of the Tau Character Guide, you basically, as a starting character, you have all of your starting abilities, but you also have 500 experience to spend on top of that, which enables you to select anything from the rank 1 Fire Warrior Advanced table or the characteristic advanced table. So basically, the point of this is that as a starting character, you have 500 experience to spend, and you must try and spend as much of that experience to get up to 500 as you can. Obviously, some configurations of abilities will not enable you to do that, but you need to spend as much experience as you can so that basically everyone's starting on the exact same amount of experience. Yep. All right, go ahead. Alright, so the rogue trader sheet, if you have in case you're wondering, Ruben, there is actually, because we're going to be doing this in sort of Roll20 Google Hangout, there will be character sheets available in Roll20 itself, in the Hangout itself, which you can update digitally and keep track of digitally. But in
They
terms
are
of
awesome.
they are, well, this one's pretty good because it's basically the Dark Heresy system, which is almost exactly the same.
It's a single
For
page?
yeah, the way that they trick it out for that one is for the character sheet on this is that there are a
Oh,
bunch of
sorry. Yeah, I just saw the attributes and abilities tab.
oh right, yeah, the way it works is that the character sheet, it doesn't actually include any of the advanced skills, so you have to add those in yourself because technically, sorry, the way the rules work is that if you don't have training in a skill that is advanced, you can't actually perform that skill. So some of the more technical, tricky things, like for instance, chem use in particular, uh, if you're not trained in chem use, you can't even begin to try and like flub your way through it and wing it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, Ruben, the wound points, when they're located on the physical character sheet, they're located on the second page towards the bottom right, just above where they've got the little picture of the guy. So if you're playing at home, it's all there ready to be written down. Uh, Now, in terms of everything, basically, I'm going to leave you, Ruben, to go ahead and select your experience. Um, and then basically I'll let you do that. You come back to me and let me know what you've picked up in terms of what you sent your experience on. So it can be anything from the tier one, from the rank one character advances. So it can be any of those skills and talents, or it can be any of the characteristic advances. So for instance, I believe yeah, Nob, Techie, and Faction all picked up some character advances to boost their scores, as well as a few other like skills and things as well. So it literally is anything from that table. So if you spend experience to increase a characteristic, the way it works is that there are four tiers in which you can advance something: simple, trained, intermediate, and expert. You must spend the experience to get up to the next level, basically. So if you must purchase the simple advance before you can pick up the trained advance and then the intermediate advance sort of thing. For every time you do that, you increase your score by 5, your overall score by 5. So therefore, if you were to go get all the advances for a particular characteristic, you would at most increase one of your characteristic scores by 20. Yeah. So depending on abilities and things like that, and depending on what you roll in terms of your starting stats, at base, you're very unlikely to get much higher than 50 to 60 in terms of your actual characteristic score. But there are situations where you can pump up modifiers and things like that so that you can effectively have like an effective score of 100. And just in terms of the way the mechanic works in this is that when you roll a dice, basically you're testing that characteristic score. And so, for instance, if you're trying to shoot someone, you're testing your ballistic score along with any modifiers for range or anything like that. So one of the examples is that when you're trying to shoot someone at fairly close to max range, you're basically trying to beat your flat ballistic score. And the way you beat that is you roll 1d100. So and then you succeed on on that test if you roll below your score. So it's kind of like the inverse of D&D. The lower you roll, the better. And one of the yeah, so your score is like a percentage. So basically you're rolling percentage chance. So if you have like a score of say 39, you have a 39% chance of success. And yeah, so if you raise it once, you get an extra 5% chance. I will I A friend of mine does a house rule, which I don't know if it's actually in the rules, but I like it, so I'm just going to play it for this system as well. For if you on any particular skill check, any sort of characteristic score test, whether it's you're shooting at someone, you're stabbing someone, you're performing a skill test, if you roll a natural one on the dice, you can increase the corresponding characteristic score by one. Of course, the you have a 1% chance in rolling that one, so it's not going to occur that often. Although I did have a friend of mine who rolled two ones in one day, so it can happen. So Ruben, I'm gonna let you go and basically have a flip through the the advances available for a tower. Uh, all the different skills and talent listings and things like that are will also be, if they're not in the tower character guide, they will be available in the core rulebook. So just refer back to that and, figure out how much experience you're going to spend and then just get back to me later on. So I'm going to move on to Rise and let's see if we can get your Eldar up and running.
Right here.
Uh, just bear with me 1 second. I don't quite know what happened to Freeze, but maybe internet problems.
Hmm.
Yep, so, alright. So I suppose starting things off, Rise, if you can flip over to the Eldar character creation guide,
Yep.
the Word document, yep. So first things first, we basically roll your stats. So, uh, have you rolled this before, or will you be doing this now?
No, I was actually just preparing to do that while you guys were talking, so I haven't actually started it yet.
All good. So basically, the way you rolling works is that you roll 2d10 down the line. You have to roll them and allocate them as they go. So you roll weapon
Crap.
skill, ballistic skill all the way down the list.
Yep,
Now
righto.
the there is one sort of leeway that is given under the system. You can pick any one of your rolls and then re-roll that result. However, you must accept the second result.
So you can only do that once?
Do that once out of the 9 characteristic scores.
Okay, I assume. Um, well, that's one thing I haven't actually double checked is the difference between intelligence and willpower under this system
So
in terms of
intelligent.
psychic abilities.
So any psychic abilities. Okay, every single psychic ability runs off willpower. Willpower is also the characteristic you use to sort of resist fear and resist corruption and warp taint and things like that.
Yep, cool.
Intelligence as a mechanic is only ever applied to skills, so that's its only real
Ah,
application.
okay. Radio.
So, but the trade-off is that intelligence is used for something not quite half, but it's easily a third of skills are based off intelligence.
Fair enough. Rather than spamming chat with rolls, I'll just use one of the dice I've got here.
Yep. So basically, you roll 2d10, and then
Cool.
add the modifier that's in the table in the Word document. So,
Yep.
um, pretty much for every single, for most of the scores, it's going to be 2d10 plus 25. But because you're an Eldar, you only add 20 on your toughness and your fellowship. But conversely, you add 30 on your agility and your willpower.
Yep. Cool. Just trying to. There it is. That's not it. Where the hell's my other D10? There we go. This is gonna suck. I assume you trust me enough not to cheat. Like I'll just write
Yeah.
them in the
Oh,
Word doc, I
don't
guess,
worry.
as I go.
I did who did we do last time? We did Nob's stats last time, and Nob's is actually rather above average in every respect. So
Cheat. I call cheat.
that's the
If
thing,
you're
though.
listening, oh, screw you.
I believe. Okay, maybe I don't have. It's further back in the chat, but I believe he actually rolled them in roll 20. So it's yeah, it's
Okay,
legit.
fair enough. Radio. Well, yeah, I'll mute it just so I'm not spamming with dice rolls and stuff, and just write them all out. And then
Yep.
I won't worry about sorting out the reroll thing until I've got the base figures. I assume I can do all of them and then choose to reroll, or do I have to reroll on the spot?
You do them all, then choose.
Okay, cool. I'll just do that now.
Uh, freezer things working now, or is it still being a bit of an issue?
You're gonna have to tell me that.
It is working. Excellent.
Hooray!
So Ruben's just going through his thing as a tower, and I've just got Rise going through generating his character stats. So I suppose we can do yours at the same time if you want. Do you have the documents that I sent you almost a week ago now, I think?
I just rolled a 20 on agility.
You're fast. You're fast. You're very, very fast.
Yeah, 50 agility. I feel wrong.
Alright, so just hold that thought. Ruben, you had a question? Go. Fire away, because I'm supposed to write stuff. That's space to write stuff. If your character starts with a skill, so if it's listed as having a skill on your character profile, yeah, you basically start with that skill as being trained. Um, yeah, it starts as being trained. So if you can attempt to do that skill at a without a penalty, whereas if you were trying to do um, if you were trying to do it untrained, if it's a basic skill, you have to do it at half of your characteristic score. But if it was an advanced skill, you would have to do it. You can't actually perform it untrained. It's just impossible. So a lot of the war skills, yeah. So if you start off with the skill, you tick both the basic and the trained box. Let me just um, faction linked it last time. Let's see if I can find it. There we are. So that link that I just put in the Roll20 chat is a link to the list of skills and the list of skills as in written in the core rulebook, and it shows which skills are listed as basic and which skills are listed as advanced. So the basic skills are the ones you can attempt to perform despite your level of training in it. So you can be completely Gumby at it and still attempt it. If it's an advanced skill though, if you're if you don't have the training in it, you can't actually do it at all. What do you have for us, Rise? I see you typing.
Numbers. I actually did already use my reroll on willpower because I rolled a 5, and then I rolled an 18.
Dang. Yeah, that's a
If you
good way to
think
use a reroll.
maybe it's just me, but they seem really high. So if you think some of those need to be dumbed down, because I rolled several tens. Although some of them, like
Uh,
I'd roll a 9 and a 1, and etc.
I will let you know currently the lowest stat of everyone else thus far is a 28. So
Shit. What's my
it's a
lowest? 32,
yeah, like in
which
terms of
is
The
fellowship,
fact that yeah,
and ballistic skill.
the fact that you do have quite a high agility is a little bit ridiculous, but I'm not going to
That's,
discount the fact it's a natural 20.
yeah, I felt like I had to say something as soon as I rolled it, because who the fuck believes that someone gets a natural 20 off a 2d10?
Yeah. Yeah, Freeze, yeah. Gonna have to totally trust that.
Well, so the rolls I actually got were 12, 7, 9, 14, 20, 16, 10, 18, 12.
Hmm.
So towards the tail end, it just kind of, all of them are above 10.
Yeah, Techies is a little bit hard to compare because Techies scores are modified by his background because human backgrounds have a lot of modifiers to characteristic scores. But out of comparison, Faction as a fire warrior, what's he got? He's got 10, 15, 3. What's that? Actually, no, that's something else entirely.
Yeah, the lowest, just like the 2d10 result I got was 7.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, so Town Fire Warrior full faction got 15. Yeah, 15, 15, 8, 4, 11. What's that? 9. What's that? 18, 12. So you just rolled a little bit on the high end, but you know what? I'm not going to tax that roll because you're already running the risk of being a psycho. I think that's danger enough.
Yeah, I would have loved to have gotten the 20 on willpower, but considering I re-rolled and got an 18, I'm not complaining at all. Oh.
Yes. Jeez, Ruben, way to be mean. Uh, Freeze, while I'm going to continue going on with Rise stuff, but do you have the Elder character creation Word document that I sent you a while back?
I'm flipping through it now.
Alright, so what I just did with Rise was I just got him to generate his characteristics, which is the very first page.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead a little bit with Rise and double back and do you. So if I can get you to roll your own characteristics, I didn't really explain it in the document, but the way the system works is that you roll each stat as it's written. So you go down the line, you roll 2d10 and roll it for each individual characteristic.
Yeah.
Once you get to the end of that process, you can then select one of your rolls and then uh, choose to re-roll it. However, the only thing is that you have to accept the re-roll, even if it's worse.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move on to do Rise's Craft World. So if I can get you to sort of start doing that, and I'll double back and uh, pick you up in a bit, that would be
Yep.
ideal. Excellent. So Rise, pretty much moving straight down that document, we get to the origin path.
Yep. I
So
was originally considering going, I assume it's pronounced Alatok, just because they're all about basically dicking off from their craft world. But considering I'm really focused on the whole Psycho Farseer thing, I was contemplating just going the obvious Ulth way.
yep.
But I don't know, like, um, is this going to change the character much, or is it mostly just to do with backstory and how I entered the game?
Mostly to do with backstory, and I mean, you can have your own reason for being in this area of space, and
I do.
I mean, like origin-wise, I've already got. Well, to be fair, we have two fire warriors and mechanicus. We have a striking scorpion, which Nob says he's also from Orthway,
Hmm.
and the region of the galaxy that I have you guys is kind of on the opposite side of the galaxy from Orthway, but that's not unheard of in terms of the Eldar, because they do tend to travel through the webway and appear where they're not expected.
Especially seers and far seers, they're just like, I'm going to turn up here and not explain why, and in 600 years you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So if you feel like being Orthway, that's fine. If you feel like being a Latok, that's also fine. Like, Nob picked Orthway despite not having any sort of psychic abilities as an aspect warrior at all. So it's
Yeah.
up totally up to you.
Um, well, I was just reading through them, and so the what are they called? Talents. Hatred demons and resist psychic techniques, or hatred chaos and favored by the warp. What does favored by the warp actually do?
Favored by the warp. It's in the core book. Let me just find that.
Because the way I'm probably going to be playing this character to some extent will, with sometimes just be fast and loose with psychic powers. Just because, I don't know, it'll entertain everyone else when I explode.
So, favored by the warp. If a focus power test ever results in psychic phenomena, you may roll twice and pick the best result.
Huh.
So, for instance, if you do end up pushing and triggering psychic phenomena, because
Yep.
you have favored by the warp, you can be like, well, I roll twice and take the best one.
Cool.
Now, I must let you know that is only on psychic phenomena. That is not does not affect rolls on perils of the warp. So, if you happen to roll
Yeah.
two results and trigger perils, you're shit out of luck.
um. What class was Nob again?
Nob was a striking scorpion and aspect warrior, and Freeze just if you could just confirm for me, you were still going to be a Dark Reaper.
Yeah.
Nice.
Righty.
I started rolling so well, and then it just all went to shit.
Well, you rolled well on the thing that you needed to do because a high ballistic
Ballistic
skill
skill.
for you is good.
Well, ultimately, they're still all close to tens, so considering the alternatives, you could get a couple of twos or something.
Don't say that on my
Not
last
bad.
roll.
Have you done a reroll yet?
No.
I'm so bad at character creation. Like, I'll get stuck on things that are almost entirely pointless. Oh god, which color should my hair be?
It happens. Don't worry.
Well, the other thing I was
So,
kind of weighing up is whether or not, what I want and how it'll affect the game in terms of different craft world elder or same craft world. Which one will present with more interesting options?
well, it's up to you. I'm slightly familiar with the war. I don't claim to be an expert on it, but at the same time, I'm generally familiar enough in terms of how they would generally interact with people and how people would perceive them. What little that people actually know of the Elder.
I was tempted to go with Alatok for the psychic techniques, but I think I have to go with Favored by the Warp. Ultimately, I can work a story I'm happy with out of any of the craft worlds, but that talent just sounds like it could be hilarious
The
until I explode.
yeah the uh, just trying to recall when they actually get that because there is.
Oh,
Hmm,
so it's something you have access to, you don't start with?
yeah, you do get
Oh,
access to it,
okay.
but I basically modeled the seer career path off the astropath transcendent.
Yeah, radio.
But the astropath transcendent doesn't actually get favored by the warp until rank 5. So starting out with that's actually quite handy.
Yep. Fun fact about Alatok as well. Apparently, they pretty much like if there's one webway that hates humans, it's them because they're constantly running into them.
Well, that's
I,
because they have most of the pirates.
yeah, and they're all about ranges as well, so they're just running all over the place. Yeah, I'll just go with Ulthway.
So, Freeze, did I hear something from you?
No, I coughed.
Oh, sorry. Um, alright, so you picked Orthway. This is actually a good opportunity. Freeze, did you want to re-roll any of those results?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what. I'm not 100% sure what does what, so I'm trying to figure out which one I should be doing.
Well, as a Dark Reaper,
I know I
um,
don't really need agility because they from memory they have the heavy aspect armor.
yeah, they're not. Funnily
They're
enough,
not
the
move.
heavy. Well, they're not moving fast, but it's simply the fact is, you're still Eldar, so even with heavy aspect armor, you can still move. It's just that you're not going to be moving as fast as say Nob, who's a Scorpion.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question. I kind of want to just challenge Nob to a race with my agility. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
the
get one shot.
sprinting. The way agility works in Rogue Trader is that um, all Eldar start with a trait known as Matchless Grace, which means you get unnatural agility as an Eldar. That is all Eldar across the board. The the thing is, unnatural agility doesn't actually increase your movement speed. It increases things that rely on an agility bonus. So, for instance, sprinting. If you have unnatural agility, you can
Ah,
sprint faster than other people. But if you're just moving naturally, you're not going to move faster because you're Eldar.
fair enough.
It's a bit of a hangover from the older systems because the early 40k RPG systems based off the Warhammer Fantasy system, and in the Warhammer Fantasy system, it was actually not unusual to get an elf who could run faster than a horse.
What does perception involve? Is that like picking up things at a range, or
Yeah, that's basically things like perceiving your environment. So that's like awareness and keeping track of things around you. Allows you to judge distances accurately, things like that.
so?
Helps
If
you
I've
to
got a did as a Dark Reaper, do I get all the Dark Reaper's equipment?
Yes, so your Dark Reaper's equipment, I
So
believe it's in.
starting with the Reaper launcher, so if I've got a range of 275 meters on it there,
Hmm.
I'd want a higher perception, I'm guessing.
Well, because you're wearing aspect armor, this is something I put in the Excel spreadsheet that I sent you guys with all the Eldar weaponry and equipment and things like that. Because you're wearing heavy aspect armor, you have a photo visor and a micro bead. Let me just double check what a photo visor does. Because if I remember correctly, a photo visor gives you basically binoculars in your helmet.
Okay.
So that does, I believe, help you in terms of determining range, but at the same time, um, if I believe might have been something I put in the character creation guide in terms of there was a talent in there that I threw in that yes, expert destruction. It's something that I threw in for the Dark Reaper. You won't get it until rank 3, but as a talent, it allows you, once per encounter, you can apply your perception bonus on a successful uh, ballistic skill attack as extra degrees of success, which, means you're able to fire with pinpoint accuracy and just nail someone with 5 Reaper missiles instead of just 2.
Requires perception of 35.
Yeah, so
I should
you
try
actually
to
you
re-roll that perception because I've only got 32.
It's at the same time though, as a Dark Reaper, the way I've gotten your character, the way your career path is built is that it's actually pretty cheap for you to increase your perception later down the track rather than some of your other abilities.
Okay.
So, um, sorry, I have what the visor did. Where's the visor? Photo visors. Um, Yeah, so, okay. It doesn't actually, photo visors don't actually give you anything, any bonuses. They basically give you dark sight, which enables you to see in the dark.
Okay.
Yeah, so it might be beneficial for you to re-roll that perception, but out of those rolls, it is, well, you have an option between that and your other 7, which was on toughness. So I suppose, do you want to be better at looking at things, or do you want to be better at potentially surviving things?
Well, the elders generally don't have a lot of toughness to start with.
I'll let you think on it for a bit, and I'll keep going with Rise. So, um,
Just quickly, how do you work out your toughness bonus?
basically, if whenever I refer to a bonus of something, so if it's your strength bonus, your weapon skill bonus, your perception bonus, something like that, it's always the tens digit.
Okay, yep.
So yeah, for your instance, toughness of 27 means you have a toughness bonus of 2.
Alright, sweet.
Right. So Rise, you picked Craftworld Ulthway. You picked up the Hatred Chaos and the Favored by the Warp Talents.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I'm going to be flicking backwards and forwards here between uh, the Seer career path and the character generation. So I'm going to be going through, like, these are the skills that you start off with as trained skills.
Radio.
So you can it should be on your thing. I know Nob had a bit of an issue looking at this because I threw this information into a text box, and OpenOffice doesn't actually reveal Microsoft Word text boxes.
Oh no, I've got Office.
Okay, cool. So all those starting skills there under the Eldar Seer career path document, you get
Yep.
all of those as trained skills. So as I was explaining before, um, if you have something as a trained skill, you can basically perform that skill using your full characteristic bonus. If it's not a trained skill, but it's considered to be a basic skill, you can attempt to perform that skill, but you can't perform it at your full characteristic bonus. Your full characteristic score. You will need to
Okay.
you would roll it at half of your characteristic score, rounding down.
Okie doke.
Um, Freeze, just to clarify, that is a 11. Is that modifying your toughness or your perception?
I'm adding that to the toughness.
Right, so you now have a toughness of 31, and
So I should have 9 wounds, so I'm guessing taking from that.
let me just double check. I had it there somewhere. Jeez. Uh, yeah, 1d5 plus 1 and twice your toughness. So you roll a 3, and yeah, so you have 9 wounds.
And 3 fate points.
Very nice. Probably also a good time for you to do that as well, Rise.
Sorry, what was that?
Uh, Considering we finished things like that, Freeze has just rolled up his wounds and his fate points, so you can also do the same if you can. That would be ideal.
Rightio. Sorry, I got distracted by something. Was it?
It's
Crap.
right at the back end of the document.
Right. So 1d5 plus 1 and twice toughness. With
Yep.
toughness of 3.
Oh,
Had to come apart
well,
at some point.
you are a seer, so it's not unusual to be incredibly squishy.
Yeah. Well,
And
considering all
fate
my other
points.
rolls.
Yeah,
So fate's 1d10, no bonuses to it?
no bonuses.
Righto.
1 to 5, you get 2. 6 to 10, you get 3.
Oh
Yep,
yeah. Some love. Hooray.
some love. All right. Um, all right. So while if you guys can refer to your respective documents, so the Dark Reaper and the Seer career path, everything that you get that is listed in the starting skills, the starting talents, the starting traits, and the starting gear, you guys start with that. Aside
Righto.
from Rise, aside from you, the rune armor is now Xenos mesh armor, so it's not as badass, but it's pretty stock standard armor.
Okie doke.
And Freeze, you can look at the Dark Reaper aspect warrior thing. You get all of the gear that's listed there, all the talents, all the traits, and all the skills. I suppose, suppose I should ask, Freeze, which craft world are you hailing from, or are you hailing, which origin path do you hail from?
I'm looking at a Laytok.
Latok?
It seems to be sort of the most fitting.
Yep. So, uh, in case you guys were wondering, the hatred talent basically means that if you ever come across uh, that specific thing. So if you come across demons, if you're hailing from the Latok, you get a +10 in any of your dealings against that group. So if you're fighting them, you get a +10. But if you're trying to civilize, like peaceably uh, speak to them, it's actually a -10 because you hate them so much.
Yep, cool.
And there is actually a difference in terms of chaos and demons. So demons are, actual warp entities, but chaos is more cultists and chaos marines and that sort of thing.
So Chaos doesn't include demons?
No, it does not.
Okay.
Is it like demons only, or is it some of the half demon stuff that Chaos have?
It's in terms of the half demons. So if something has become corrupted and basically has sufficient warp taint, there is for the most part that will be chaos. But if basically a human or other creature has been sufficiently affected by the warp that basically they're no longer counted as being that creature, they're more warp than of real space, then that would be a demon.
Okay.
So if you're hailing from Craftworld or Latok, you get the Hatred Demons and the Resistant Psychic Techniques talents, which means you're much harder to affect with psychic powers.
Yeah, I'll go a bit different to Lana Groff does there.
That's actually been one of my aims with this character, is just go for something pretty different.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Something sort of long range, sitting back.
That's the thing. It's 40k. If you're not fighting at range, you're doing something wrong.
Your Nob's not going to be fighting at range very often.
Well, that's the thing. He could just sneak up behind someone and stab him in the back with a chainsword. Ruben, I can't really answer that for you. Command or concealment have their own bonuses. Um, Command's probably more important in terms of dealing with minions and like weaklings and people who you can boss around, whereas concealment is actually like hiding. Um, yeah, command's mostly for NPCs, but uh, no, if you have drones at any rate, tech use is sufficient to deal with a drone because drones don't have lateral thought.
Um, Eldar starting gear, are we including the Spirit Stone?
Yes, it's the. I believe it's written in the gear. It should. If
I don't have one.
oh,
I have a
I
Psi
actually missed that.
Focus.
I did actually miss that for you. Sorry about that. The
Oh, good.
way that the Spirit Stone works for the Aspect Warriors, similar to how they describe it in all the lore, is that uh, for an aspect warrior, the spirit stone's basically embedded in the aspect warrior armor.
Yep. Radio.
But as a seer, you wear yours more as a pendant than anything else, or you can have it on your person in any way in which you deem fit. That's mostly up to you as a seer.
Radio.
Yep. In terms of the quality of gear, I've mentioned it there that for you guys, you're going to be receiving, best craftsmanship and like good craftsmanship and that sort of thing. If the weapon is a ranged weapon, if it's a best craftsmanship ranged weapon, that means the weapon will never jam or overheat. Ruben, that tens digit on that bonus box next to the uh, those various skills. That's more in reference to situational bonuses, or for instance, if you're taking drugs, you can get bonuses to certain skills. It's not actually. Those are more like temporary or specific bonuses rather than anything relating to your characteristic. Um, uh, just going back, if you have a melee weapon of best craftsmanship, you add a +10 to weapon skill attacks made with that weapon, and you add +1 to the damage that they inflict. If a weapon is of good craftsmanship, if it's a ranged weapon, the ranged weapon is deemed to have uh, the reliable trait, which means it only jams on a natural roll of a 100. Sorry, no, that's right. If a reliable weapon jams, roll 1d10, and only on a roll of 10 has it in fact jammed. So jamming only occurs if you roll really rather poorly. So we're talking like a natural roll of 93 and up on the dice, which is unusual to say the least.
I missed the modifiers on the best craftsman range weapon. Sorry.
There are actually no modifiers on a best craftsmanship ranged weapon. It's simply a ranged weapon of best craftsmanship will never jam or overheat. It just
Oh,
won't.
okay.
It doesn't
Cool.
actually give a bonus to like hit as a melee weapon would.
Fair enough.
Uh, and sort of as a good craftsmanship melee weapon, a good craftsmanship melee weapon adds +5 to weapon skill tests made to attack. That's all it does.
Radio.
Alright then, right. Ruben, you're basically done. That's 500 experience. Uh, all good, Ruben. Here. Now, I suppose uh, I suppose you guys just need to go through the Eldar stuff at your own pace. If you have any questions, so you basically start off with all the starting gear, all the starting talents, all the starting traits and skills, similar to what everyone else has been doing. So all the skills start off as being trained. Some of the Eldar racial talents do give you bonus things as well in terms of starting skills and starting talents and things like that. So I've included all of them in the Eldar character creation guide in terms of all those various different traits. So if there's anything you're just unsure of, just ask away.
So you start with 500 experience to spend on the rank 1 advances, right?
The rank 1 advances it also includes the characteristic advances. So you
Yeah.
can choose from either the rank 1 advances or the characteristic advances.
So what does the characteristic advances do at each level?
So in
So
terms
say
of
you
each,
buy perception simple, what does
so
that achieve?
a characteristic advance, you need to basically every advance that you purchase for that, you must purchase them in order. So for instance,
Yeah, you got to
for
go simple, immediate, trained, expert
yeah,
in. Yeah.
exactly. Every time you do that, you get a +5 to the relevant characteristic.
So +5 with each advance.
Yeah, so you at maximum, if you were to spend all your experience solely on a characteristic advance, you'd get a maximum +20.
Yep.
And that's after about spending close to 1,500 experience.
Yeah. And
Sorry, did I interrupt you, Freeze?
no, I was just saying you can't swap any rolls around, can you?
I think
For
your voice
the
cut out.
no, no, unfortunately not. You had to pick one to re-roll, and that's the only uh, thing that you're allowed to do.
Yeah, my second highest stat is strength, and as far as I can determine, that's absolutely useless to me.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only thing that
until someone rushes you.
Yeah, I hit them with my gun.
it's unfortunate that the only thing that would have actually assisted that with a high strength was a talent known as bulging biceps, but
That's rank
because
3, I think I saw, or wasn't it? Or 4?
yeah, that
4.
too, but it also doesn't really matter because bulging biceps is completely negated by the fact you're wearing heavy aspect armor. Because basically, bulging biceps normally with the heavy weapon you would normally need to brace and sort of set up to fire it because you're wearing heavy aspect armor. You're
Yeah, it
always completely
stabilizes
braced.
itself. And, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's got in the armor list, it counts as having the trait auto stabilized.
And what's the difference between skill and talent? Is it like skill's more of an active thing and talent's like a passive?
Yeah, talent's more of a passive thing. Probably the best way to describe it is that a talent is basically a feat from D&D.
Yeah.
So basically, it will help you in a way that is not always apparent, but there are some feats that will actively sort of affect you, like will give you access to new abilities and things like that. So some of the melee feats and talents in particular definitely enable you to do new things. So um, for instance, some of the things for melee talents enable you to attack multiple times in a round, which normally a melee character can't do that. Hence why ranged characters tend to have a bit of a leg up in that regard because you don't need much skill to just press down on a firing trigger.
Yeah. Is there any way that I can find out what each thing does?
It's all in the core rulebook, so the that's
I don't
probably one
think
of
I have that link you sent me,
let me just find it. It
or
should
I
be
probably do, but I've got no idea where.
um hold on, it's probably still in my Google Drive. In terms of the good thing about Rogue Trader is that it's not like Pathfinder or D&D where every new book has a whole bunch of new um, traits and abilities and feats and things in every new book, so you have to have like 5 different books open at once. Rogue Trader has only one list of talents and things, and it's all in the core book, so it doesn't go anywhere. So let me
Cool.
just get the share link for you.
The other question was, when you spend experience, does that take that away? Or do you have to like save up so much experience to level up, or and not spend it? Or if you spend it, do you still have it, just not?
So you will need to, in terms of starting the game, you do need to spend experience, and that's the link for the cool rulebook there.
Cool.
Um, so in terms of your starting experience, you do need to spend as much of that 500 experience as you can.
Yeah. Well, what I
Um,
mean is it like a dark you choose between buying things or leveling up?
no, basically it's your experience is as you spend it, you level up basically. So the way the system works is that effectively everyone starts on 5,000 experience,
Yeah.
and in order to progress to the next rank, in which unlocks the next set of abilities, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
You
the
probably should
pretty
ignore
much the
that.
all right. The way it works is that uh, as you got progress up in ranks, it unlocks the new ranks of abilities and things like that. However, as you progress, say for instance, from rank 1 to rank 2, you actually gain access to rank 2 and can no longer access rank 1. Or actually, you can still go back and access rank 1 abilities and upgrades and things like that. It's just more expensive.
Okay. So
So
get everything you want from each thing before you rank up.
that's the thing. The only probably the thing you have to keep in mind is that each time you spend experience, it's actively counting towards you leveling up. So, for
Yep.
instance, after you guys spend your 500 experience to start off with, everyone is going to be considered as effectively starting at 5,000 experience.
Yep.
Once you guys spend 2,000 experience exactly, so the moment you go over that 2,000 point experience point threshold, you move up to rank 2.
Okay.
So, and then it's sort of everything kind of scales up from there. So to get to the higher ranks, it actually costs more. So for instance, to get all the way up to rank 5 as to access the rank 5 stuff, you need to spend a total of 12,000 experience on top of the experience that you currently have as part of your character.
Makes sense.
And just so I let you guys know, I'm going to be running it fairly by the book in terms of the experience gain. So the experience that the book sort of recommends is that you get about 400 experience for every 4 hours of play. So for a 2 hour session, you're going to get about 200 experience, which will generally um, give you access to at least a skill upgrade per session. But there's nothing stopping you at all from stockpiling your experience and then blowing it all at once.
At the
Ruben,
moment, I'm mostly just trying to figure out how everything works on the character sheet. Things like skills. Like specifically, do I just add them and write them in for the ones that aren't on the list or under
yeah.
basic
So if you
skills?
if you get access to a skill, so if you get access from a trait or talent or one of the skills that you get access to, um, basically every time you select a skill and upgrade in a skill, it counts as being trained. So for some of those skills, that link I posted earlier to the table, some of those skills are counted as advanced skills. So basically,
Okay.
if you when you attain training in an advanced skill, you will be able to access and start using that skill. Whereas before, because it's an advanced skill and you are untrained in it, you could not actually do it.
How do I tell the difference between what's basic and what's advanced?
In terms of the character sheet that's shown in Roll 20, um, basically, if it's on the list that's in Roll 20, those are all the basic skills.
Okay, so I should just
So
basically only write skills on as I get training in them for the advanced ones.
that's correct.
Okay, and the only other thing is, what is the story with the three tick boxes? One adds 20, one adds 10, and one does something else.
Okay, so for those, let me just have a look at the character sheet. Um, one adds 21. So the first tick box is you have training in it, which means
Ah,
uh,
right.
so basically you can see that I'm just looking at your character sheet at the moment. For those skills that you're not trained in, it's rolling at half of your relevant score. So that's always half
Oh,
rounded
okay.
down.
Yeah,
So for
righto.
instance, for your awareness, to successfully perform an awareness skill check, you must roll under a 17, which is half of your perception of 35. Now, just
Okay.
for just for example's sake, if I was to tick that box,
Oh, it's now
uh,
the full perception bonus.
yes, and as you gain training in it, you if you as when you purchase purchase the advance and it'd be like an awareness plus 10, an awareness plus 20, then you tick the boxes next to it.
Oh, okay. Righto.
Uh,
And how do
yeah,
you become trained in it by selecting a characteristic advance or?
there will be advances available further down the track. At rank 1, you generally won't get access to it, but if you look down to like the rank 2, rank 3, rank 4 advances, then you start seeing things along the lines of, oh look, there's like a skill plus 10 or a skill plus 20 or something like that. So as you increase in rank, you start getting access to better versions of the standard skills.
Oh, okay, of the skills. Sorry, I was thinking characteristic. I was just, yeah, I think I got confused.
Yeah, it's the yeah. So what Ruben said is right. If you are not trained in a skill, and the skill is a basic skill, you roll at half of your relevant characteristic score for that skill.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I
if
just
if it's a, if you are not trained in a skill and the skill is an advanced skill, you can't actually perform that skill at all. It's too technical, too specialist for just a general person to do it.
yeah,
Yep. All right.
just getting confused. Just looking at this. So that's it. Yeah, the character sheet's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah. So the characteristics are like by buffing your characteristics, you buff basically your base score. So uh, that's the thing in terms of deciding when to spend experience, when not to. If you can choose to take a plus 10 in a specific skill, it's generally better than actually buffing your actual characteristic score. But at the same time, it's you're just only doing it in for that one skill, and you're ignoring everything else. So, for instance, you could be really well trained at dodge, which is an agility-based skill, like have a dodge plus 10, but your agility has you haven't increased your agility at all.
Yeah. So the basic training is so like my starting skill has a dodge in it, so that's uh the first training trained in dodge and intimidate. I got there as
Yeah,
well.
basically those ones are at that. If it's listed in your starting skills, that means you have that skill as a trained skill, which means you can perform that skill without penalty at your full characteristic score.
Cool.
Just in regards to Ruben, um, you're trained in basic level concealment. What part of the tower enables it to give you that? Is that one of your is that your precise hunter, or is that something else? Oh, you spent experience on. So yeah, so you spent experience to pick up concealment as a skill. Because you spent 200 experience to pick up concealment, that means you are now trained in concealment skill tests, which means that with an agility of 42, that means to succeed on a concealment skill test, you must roll below your agility of 42. So I mentioned it to Rise earlier that the whole thing about the system is that rolling high is actually bad for everything aside from rolling for damage. You always want to roll. You always want to roll lower if possible. Uh, Ruben, the physical character sheet. It's not the concealment as a skill, as a general skill, because you've. Sorry, concealment as a skill is always counted as a basic skill, so it always has that box ticked. Because you've spent the experience and picked up concealment as an actual skill, that means that skill is now counted as trained, which means it's a trained skill. There is no bonus to the skill based on your. It is simply rolling at your flat agility without penalty. If it wasn't a trained skill, you would be performing that at half of your agility.
I think. Well, I haven't come up with any more questions yet. um, I know Freeze asked about this before, and I totally missed. Do we have a reference guide just for abilities and so on? Just so I can run through what I'm going to upgrade later.
For the just in terms of what you have access to.
Yeah, or you know, either or.
So basically, the each of the individual career path documents I sent you guys. So for you, it's the Elder Seer career path. In
Yep.
terms of spending any experience that you receive, which includes your starting 500 experience, you
Yep.
spend your experience based on the experience costs shown in the tables. So at rank 1, you can select any advances from the rank 1 table of advances, as well as the characteristic advances.
Okay, so characteristic advances are just flat bonuses, whereas class advances are abilities, I guess,
It's
and
abilities and
skills,
things like so. One of the
or
one of the things that's
talents. I
probably
should use the right term.
yeah one of the talents that is most commonly picked up for you or as a striker in particular is psychic techniques, which enables you to select a basically a school of psychic
Yep.
ability and
Discipline.
yes, psychic techniques and psychic disciplines. So it enables you to pick from a school of psychic discipline and work from that. So the
Fair enough.
general one for Elder, I believe it's generally in the realm of telepathy as or divination. Um, Actually, you can also pick up telekinesis as well. It's really so you pick up. I'm actually not incredibly familiar with how picking up a psychic technique works, but if you pick up the psychic technique talent, you may select one new psychic technique in a psychic discipline that you possess. And
Fair enough.
so I'm just looking because the Astropath Transcendent is what I based this off, and it's a little bit uh, wonky. Yeah, so generally your generally the psychic disciplines that are open to you, you generally only start with one, but
Righty.
and you pick that one, and once you pick up all the various psychic techniques that are available under that discipline, then you can expand out to another one. So
Right.
I believe that's how it works. I'll have to probably read up on that and
So I
double check.
assume techniques can be literally translated into spells. Is that
Yeah,
how that works? Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Um, I don't think I actually have any place to. Oh wait, no, never mind. Just trying to figure out
Um,
how this sheet works. Like it's got minor powers and discipline powers, or they were just hidden.
Ruben, probably just for your knowledge and everyone else's, considering the nature of the group, I've decided to step in and basically rule out you guys starting with an actual ship. You're all going to be starting planet side. Um, I described a little bit of it at the end of the last session with Techie Knob and Faction, and so there's a little bit of a brief description there. But you're basically, in terms of location, uh, in the galaxy where you'll be starting off, you're going to be starting off slightly near. You're going to be starting off in Segmentum Ultima, which is, and you're going to be starting relatively to the relative galactic north of the Tau Empire in a little system known as the Achov system.
Is
I
that an
figured
actual
it's.
one, or you just made it up?
This is what I made up.
Ah, okay.
So I realize it's probably not the best place to try and make up a system, as it's probably going to overlap with a bunch of stuff, but at the same time it enables me to kind of break from what's already established and not care if I tread on too much GW lore.
The other, I had a well, question I did have is because my original plan was, my original plan was to move because I wanted to be a warlock, but you said that I couldn't start as that. How do I go about moving into that?
Yep. So Rise had the same question earlier. In fact, it's something that's available in some of the other books for Rogue Trader. Is that there's this thing called an advanced career path, um, or an alternate career path. I'm still working through them for the Eldar, but basically the way it functions is that once you meet the prerequisites for this alternate career path, you can take this a rank in this alternate career path in basically replaces your standard rank that you would get at that level. Yeah, it's kind of a specialization path. So, for instance, once you meet the prerequisites, you get access to a alternate career path at say rank 3, and it unlocks at rank 3, but that does not mean you have to grab it at rank 3. You could grab it at say like rank 4, rank 5, or anything thereafter. What this means is that basically uh, the rank 3, yeah, you can also grab it at rank 3 as well in place of rank 3. No, no, no. The general way an alternate career path works is that, say for instance, it unlocks at rank 3 and you want to take it at rank 3. By taking it at rank 3, it replaces your standard character rank 3 abilities that you get access to, so it's effectively a
Okay,
trade-off.
so each rank you go up in, and then you choose which one to start buying from, but not both.
Yeah, so it's the simple thing is that if you choose to take an alternate career path, you basically have to say, I choose to forego my standard rank 3 whatever and take on this alternate career path at rank 3.
So are
So
you locked into that with every progression from there, or can you choose at each rank which one to choose from?
the thing about the alternate career paths is that for the most part, an alternate career path only functions at one rank. It won't actually function at any other rank aside from that one rank where you choose to start using it. So, for instance,
Okay, so you go to
it,
rank 3. I choose the alternate rank, and then once I get to rank 4, can you choose between the alternate rank and the standard one again, or do you?
it's the actual thing is that the way alternate ranks work is that it's literally that it is an alternate rank for that one rank only. So you choose to take the alternate rank at rank 3, and then you go back to your standard rank 4. So you basically skip your standard rank 3 and take this alternate version.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay, I've taken the alternate version, so I've lost the rank 3 of the original one. So then I rank up to rank 4. Can you pick the alternate one again, or at
The
like rank 4 one and forego the original rank 4 one and go for the rank 4 and the alternate?
the way it's probably going to work so far is that the way the books have it written is that it's only a one rank only thing. The way I'm probably going to get Warlock to work because I'm having to try and figure out how Warlocks and things can fit in, but the way I've got it written so far is that at rank 4 you gain the ability to access the Warlock alternate career path, and that this will be for both you guys, so you and Nob as Aspect Warriors, and Rise as a Seer, so kind of breaking the law a little bit there. Um, but the thing is, once you pick up that one, basically it then gives you the option that's open to you. So if you choose to pick up the Warlock alternate career path as an aspect warrior freeze, then you get the option starting from rank 5. Do you want to take a rank 5 aspect warrior, or do you want to take a rank 5 seer? So there is in effect no actual rank 5 version of a warlock, so you won't get that access to that. But that's not um, say for instance when you go up to rank 5 and you lose access to the rank 4 stuff, uh, that it's not actually so much prohibiting you from going back and picking up some of the old warlock abilities, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive simply because you've technically transitioned past out of that rank 4 tier of ability. You've moved up to rank 5. Does that? I know that's pretty confusing, so um, yeah, let me know. I'm still working on the actual mechanics of how that will work into the system, but the way I'm going to be basing it fairly heavily on how the actual alternate rank system works, and that is simply a swap out. You take an alternate rank for one rank only, and then you go back to what you were doing.
Okay, so you just basically get to pick that one alternate rank at one point.
Hmm. The I'm in trying to make the I'm still yet to figure out exactly how I'm going to make the warlock work, but basically it's going to be once you unlock the warlock, from every rank they're on, you actually get the choice. Do you want to pick a rank in aspect warrior, or do you want to pick a rank in seer?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah. So just I'm still fully yet to flesh these out, but for instance, for an aspect warrior, the alternate career ranks that I'm working on sort of developing and fleshing out is that alternate career ranks at rank 2, you get access to the Guardian. At rank 3, you get access to the Exarch. At rank 4, you get access to the Warlock. At rank 6, you get access to the Autarch. Also, alternatively, if you decide to pick up the Warlock, then you can backtrack. You can say, I want to, try and level up my psychic ability and take a few seer ranks. If you do that, you actually also get access at rank 6 to the Farseer alternate rank.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to
I
have.
think I'm going to stick more for the warlock on it rather than the seer side of things.
Hooray!
Yeah, it's
I'm gunning for
the
Farseer.
yeah. I'm gonna the probably gonna limit the fact that if you I'm not gonna let you be both a Farseer and an Autarch because that's kind of stupid. So it's gonna be one or the other. It's basically gonna be if you're this, you can't be this other one.
Yep.
So I'm I'm going to spend some time trying to flesh that and see exactly how it's going to work. But I don't really see too much issue in terms of actually mechanically making that work.
Now the question is, say, okay, you take a thing in warlock. Does that mean how do you go about? Because I know the warlocks have got completely different gear.
Well, in terms of acquiring gear, it all depends on how the story's playing out at that stage. But by the time you guys get up to rank 4, just out of comparison, a rank 4 sort of rogue trader character is roughly equivalent to a starting Space Marine character in the Death Watch role playing system, which is the 40k Space Marine version of
That means
RPGs.
nothing to me.
Well, it's basically at that point you can stand toe to toe with a Space Marine basically. So at
Yeah.
that level of power, depending on how the story is playing out, but I anticipate that at that stage you guys as Elder in particular will have contact of some sort with your craft worlds again and have access to going and acquiring the relevant armor and weaponry
It's
specific
making
to your.
me really tempted to look into bone singing just because, I can make whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, I was just because the whole thing I was trying to aim for with the warlock is because of the weapons like the witchblade and stuff that he gets.
Yeah, so that's certainly something that will crop up, but it's more of a let's just say I'm probably going to cross that bridge when I come to it and figure out how you actually get access to a Witchblade. I'm not going to place it as like, I'm not going to lay it at your feet as like, here's a shiny chocolate egg that's just rolled into your lap. It's more of a, you're probably going to have to, in game terms, try and seek that out and go to a craft world or go to like a relic and find a relic Witchblade for you to wield.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be something that we'll work through together as a group in terms of if you guys want something awesome, then you'll probably have to go and seek it out. So
Oh god, singing
probably
spear.
yeah,
yeah.
it's all that. So it's gonna be things like singing spears. It's gonna be things like rune armor, witch blades. If you do, I'm still yet to write it up, but a spirit seer is an alternate career rank I'm thinking of doing. So if I do actually make that a thing and someone does pick up a spirit seer, then I'm going to be doing rules in terms of, well, you're a spirit seer, so technically you can command a wraith guard. So
Yeah, I was about to say, how's that going to
as
work?
long it's basically a minion that you have control of, and it's literally if the to the
You
point
know
where
they
you guys.
they command Wraith Lords as well.
I know. So it's
I,
all
that
it
might be unbalanced. Or impossible to
it
balance
might be
without.
imbalanced, but in terms of all this stuff, it's like things are gonna have to play. You guys are gonna have to work towards it to acquire this thing. Similar to the thing if when Ruben or faction want to pick up tower drones, shield drones, or battle suits, it's gonna be the same thing. It's not gonna appear out of nowhere. It's just be like you're gonna have to find some way of actually going about acquiring it.
Just build
And
a webway and pop back and grab it and come back.
And that's why bone singing would be great.
yeah, well, that's the thing. The story so far that I've sort of developed to sort of justify why the hell I've got three Eldar on this planet is that uh, I mentioned it at the end of the other session as well. Is that uh, basically as Eldar you were kind of involved in a running in, battle against Dark Eldar in the Webway, and as part of that battle, sort of the intense firepower that resulted in just the all the mayhem and destruction that was going on kind of forced the webway to basically convulse and basically a psychic earthquake in the webway, and you guys had to think fast on your feet. So you two and Nob decided to try and duck down a side corridor of the webway, which ended up being cut off from the rest of your uh, semi-war host. It wasn't a full Eldar war host in the webway, but it was a sizable force fighting off the Dark Eldar, and hence why you've all ended up on this planet stranded and cut off from the rest of your brethren. Yes. No, Ruben, you didn't rescue them. You guys have your own reasons, and Techie has his own reasons for being here as well. So it's
I'll kick you in the towel butt for the greater good.
let's just say that considering your guys' location in the universe, um, that's going to play into potential story options for me in terms of what I can do with that. So think of what's in Ultima Segmentum, and then think of everything I can do with that.
Doesn't the
So,
Ultimate Segmentum take up like a third of the entire galaxy?
yep, which means I can do pretty much anything I want.
Yeah. Does that mean we get the Wedgie the Emperor?
Well, the Sol system is a little bit far away, but nothing really preventing that.
Sweet.
I'm gonna get me a throne.
Yeah.
That's why I'm tempted to bone sing. I have
In
no
terms of
idea about time frame for that though.
yeah, that would fall under more of a craft rule. So again, I still need to kind of invent that rule and make it work. But in terms of everything else, for shuriken weaponry, I'm kind of house ruling it in that basically the shuriken weaponry, uh, it's going to be along the lines of the actual crystal that shuriken weaponry fires. It's psychically regenerative, so you can basically focus your mental capacities as Eldar to basically regenerate your ammunition so that it won't generally run out. Um,
Sweet.
for you, Freeze, as a Dark Reaper, I can't run that rule with the Reaper launcher because that actually requires projectiles.
Yep.
So you will eventually run out of Reaper launcher ammunition, but I'm going to house rule and say that you can modify basically uh, modify your launcher to fire standard Monkai missile ammunition as well as the Reaper launcher.
Okay.
The only downside to doing that though is that unlike the Reaper launcher where you have many miniaturized missiles, human tech is much less uh, proficient or technical. So you're gonna have less ammunition per like clip of shots.
Yep.
One thing I should check with talents, traits, and also psychic techniques. Are they all going to like the stuff I have access to? Is it going to be relatively close to what's in the rulebook?
In terms of just so the talents and stuff that so there's only very few talents that are Eldar specific, and I pretty much modified all the Eldar traits from what exists for Dark Eldar. So it's not like in terms of balance, it's relatively balanced. The only thing I've really kind of taken a little bit of a creative license with is the um, the insanity rules and the corruption rules for Eldar. So basically, the way I've kind of designed it so far is that as an Eldar, the more insane you get, basically, it. Sorry about that. The more insane you become, basically, once you reach a threshold, you are basically treated as a Dark Eldar,
Yeah.
and you start to do what Dark Eldar do to prevent their souls being sucked into oblivion.
Hooray! Screw everyone, potentially, literally.
Yeah. So, um,
I've never had a towel before.
oh god.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a penalty if I start trying to eat your suffering.
Yeah. It's it's basically that requires, to reach that level of insanity, it's gonna be a few circumstances like fairly down the track in terms to reach that level of just mental damage, mental trauma. So, there are creatures and monsters and aliens that you will fight that do have a thing called fear rating, where if you fail, you do get scared and you do gain insanity points. On the flip side, there's a fun little sort of mechanic called the insane shall prosper, which means that the more insane that you become, the harder that you are to scare, and thus the harder you are to gain more insanity points. So it's
Huh.
a kind of a scaling system in terms of insanity. Corruption, on the other hand, is much. Things will always corrupt you. Certain things will always corrupt you, depending on what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Although,
I'm not.
sorry, you go.
So I was going to say, I'm not entirely sure how to fill out this character sheet of beyond the basic skills and characteristics and all that. Once you get like armor, head, and type, like,
Yes, in terms of armor, the your armor that you get, so everyone's armor, aside from very limited armor, so unfortunately for you, Rise, your armor covers everywhere except the head.
Hooray!
Yeah, so the way
Not naked.
yeah, so the way the system works in terms of armor and things like that is that armor has a value called uh, armor points, and this
yeah,
basically functions as damage reduction. Yeah, now, damage reduction in the 40k RPGs, it's a combined stat that works between your armor bonus that's granted by your armor, along with your toughness bonus. Your toughness bonus is your inherent resistance to damage. So, for instance, if you have armor that gives you an armor value of 5, along with a toughness score of say 32, then you add your toughness bonus to your armor value, and then you have an actual total damage reduction on the relevant parts of your body of 8. So there are instances where there are weapons that will penetrate that armor. So for instance, there are most weapons in the game come with a penetration rating, which reduces the value of your armor. The thing is, toughness as a damage reduction is not affected by penetration. So you could run around naked, and you could have a weapon with like penetration level 10, but it won't actually do anything against your toughness bonus because your toughness bonus is inherent, and the penetration value of a weapon only affects armor. Now, the other thing in terms of that is that there is a weapon trait. If I believe it's still in this book. Okay, it's been added in one of the later books, but there's also a weapon trait known as felling, and felling actually ignores toughness bonus. So though that's more to do with more archaic, more archaeotech, and more Xenos weaponry, like I believe needle rifles, because of the way they work with poisons and just toxins and things like that, much more will basically cut through your inherent toughness bonus. So they're very good for taking out orcs.
okay. So what's type mean?
Type. In regards to type, when it refers to a weapon,
No,
uh,
armor.
armor. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm actually unfamiliar. Is that in the core book? Yeah.
I've
Ruben, I'll talk to you later if you need anything. Just shoot me an email. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for coming. I hope it mostly made sense. Alright, cool. Catch you, Ruben. I'll send an email around next few days in terms of uh, setting a date for when we start to play, and that should be probably not next week, but maybe the week after. Right. Now, freeze. You're referring to armor type.
yeah.
Um, it. What was that? What was that specifically in regards to? Because there's a few different types of armor in general, but
Well, it asks for it in the character sheet that I'm looking at.
oh, okay. I'm
Armor
unfamiliar
head.
with.
So you got armor head, a blank, which I'm assuming is the AP, and then you got 1 to 10 type, which I'm assuming is a roll hit thing, but I don't know what type means.
Type. Oh, right. that's basically just a description of exactly what that armor is.
Oh,
So
okay, so I'd write heavy aspect on that.
yeah, heavy aspect. So um,
And I'm guessing the 1 to 10 on top of it just means it's if on a hit that you roll a D100 or something, and that tells you where you hit them.
the way the to hit mechanics work is that there is actually a ability to cold shot something, which is basically if you cold shot something, you can basically pinpoint target something and shoot them. So say I aim for the head, and generally there are talents that reduce the penalty, but there is if you don't have the talents for it, you can pinpoint target something but at a penalty. Um, the way it generally works is that say for instance if you're just like I shoot that person without generally aiming, I just shoot them. Say for instance you roll. I'll just do as an example. Yeah, say for instance I rolled a 41. That means like say for instance just for example that shot was a success and my opponent my target failed to dodge out of the way. Uh, so the way it works is that in order to determine hit location, you take your roll and then you invert it. So a 41 becomes a 14. And then you apply that 14 against the specific part of the on that refers to the body.
So, like left arm.
Yeah, so that 41 becomes a 14, which is the right arm. So, say for instance, that's it. Kind of helps in that way because if you roll, say for instance, you roll badly and you roll like a 70, if it still hits, if it like if because of bonuses and other things, it still actually hits. A 70 becomes a 7, which is the head. So even if you don't roll low, you can still potentially nail someone in the head, so because of luck.
Okay, I think I get that.
And hence why the armor system, as it stands, currently comes into play. So it doesn't really affect any of you aside from Rise, because Rise, unfortunately for you, you don't have armor on your head. If I was particularly playing
Hooray.
if I was playing a particularly malicious DM, I would basically say all of my guys aim for Rise's head because he has no armor.
I will put my spirit stone on my head because that will totally protect me.
So what? Blow up your spirit zone so you got nowhere to go.
Yep, and then the second shot kills me and I can't go into my spirit stone. Hooray!
Yay.
So when we're looking at this, when we're looking at like the weapons, I'm looking at the weapons here. It's got damage, like on the Reaper launchers, 2d10 plus 2x. Some have got E, some have got R. What's that refer to?
So there are four main damage types in the game. There are impact weapons, which is I, explosive weapons, which is X, energy weapons, which is E, and rending weapons, which is R. And for the most part, that doesn't really come into account until we get to a fun little thing called crit damage. And the way hit points work in the 40k RPGs is that your wounds are basically your hit points to an extent. Your wounds basically kind of protect you from death. So however many wounds you have, you can safely lose that many wounds until things start going really rather wrong. So depending on your armor, depending on what you're being shot at with, depending on what you're being hit with, some weapons will just plow through those wounds like no one's business. Other weapons will take a few hits to actually knock you down to 0 wounds. Once you hit 0 wounds though, we then get into a fun little thing called critical damage, which is effectively what happens is that once you hit 0 wounds, you don't die, you don't fall unconscious or anything like that, but any damage past 0 wounds will start inflicting critical damage. So in terms of critical damage, what that means is that depending on the weapon that hits you, you suffer critical damage. So say for instance you're on 0 wounds, and you get, say for instance you get stabbed in the back by a monosword. That's a rending weapon. So um, you suffer two critical rending damage to, say for instance, the body. So then, because of that, I refer to the critical rending damage table and say because you suffered critical rending damage to the body, this effect takes place. So, for instance, in that instance, I go and check the table, and a crit to rending damage on the body reduces the armor points on the body by 1. It also uh, suffers a level of fatigue. The target who suffered the critical damage also suffered a level of fatigue. Now, in terms of how this works for fights, I'm going to play it a little bit differently for uh, player characters and NPCs. So NPCs just have a standard. Um, NPCs in general have a standard crit damage. So if you crit damage them anywhere in the body, they suffer that crit damage as if it was at their highest. So if they had already suffered 3 crit damage and you dealt 5 more to a different part of the body, I'll just apply that at crit damage 8 to simply speed things up. But if you guys were fighting like a boss or something like that, then I'll apply it differently. So for you guys, for player characters and bosses, if you suffer crit damage, if it's on a different part of your body, you'll suffer the crit damage specific to that part of the body. So you can be like, you're at like crit damage 3 on your on your left arm. You're at crit damage 1 on your head. You're at crit damage 5 on your legs, on one of your legs. So less likely to die, but the more crit damage you suffer, the more chance you have of things, uh, potentially limbs to be cut off, faces to be burned, um, people to be decapitated. It gets rather unpleasant after a while. And the end result of it all is that the uh, if you do suffer enough critical damage to effectively die, that's when you get to the point where fate points come into play. If you effectively die, you can burn a fate point to basically stay alive, and you'll remain alive, but you're probably not going to be in any condition to continue fighting. Uh, the way fate points work is that yes, you can burn them to save your life. You can also spend them to give yourself a a boost in certain cases. So one of the things that you can do is you can spend a fate point to re-roll any result, but the downside is you have to accept that second result. Um, you can spend a fate point to instantly heal a bit of damage. You can spend a fate point to go first in initiative in combat. There are a bunch of different things, and the probably the good thing about the way fate points work is that you can spend fate points, and like you can spend up to your total fate point limit. So, say for instance you have 3, you can spend 3 fate points, and they will recover after a solid amount of like 8 hours, 10 hours rest. And you can basically have spent all your fate points, and if you die, you can still burn a fate point to save your life. The only downside to burning a fate point is that it reduces your total fate point pool by 1. And once you run out of fate points to burn, that means the next time you die, you are dead for good. So,
I think I've got the gist of most stuff with this now.
the main couple of mechanics with the system is that uh, rolling under characteristic score is the main one. Fate points are another. When we get around to combat, there are a bunch of combat actions that one can take. I'm probably going to cut and paste them from the book, and have them as like a quick reference document so that we can all refer to it at all times. Be like, these are the things that you can do in combat. Um, the funny thing is in that the way the rules are written in regards to weapons firing at semi-auto and full auto is that uh, basically it's the rule of more DACA. The more times you fire, the more likely you are to hit.
Well, that works well for a shuriken pistol.
Yes, and
So what's the
the
rate of fire symbols mean?
so rate of fire. Those symbols basically mean uh, some weapons have a very limited rate of fire, and that's denoted by what is shown there. So, for instance, that shuriken pistol has S/3/5. That means that weapon can choose to fire a single shot, or it can choose to fire in a semi-auto burst of 3 shots, or it can choose to fire in a full auto burst of 5 shots.
Okay,
The
so the Reaper launcher I got can fire 6 and 6 only at each shot.
Yes, and the the other thing to take into account with that is that different fire rates require different actual parts of actually using them. So, for instance, firing full auto or semi-auto can only be conducted by spending your entire round firing, whereas a single shot can be conducted in a half action, which means you can still move after that.
Yeah.
But in terms of, say, for instance, a full auto fire is you basically have to not move and just fire your gun, but you can fire your gun at your ballistic skill plus 20.
So basically, with the Reaper launcher, that's the only option you got.
Yes, so hence why the Reaper launcher might not be the best option in certain instances. For instance, like if you're trying to duck out of cover and shoot something, then duck back into cover,
You'd
doing
use the
that with a Reaper,
Shuriken pistol in that case.
yeah, because it's basically to fire the Reaper launcher, you have to stand still and just stand still and fire. You can't duck up and duck down.
Yeah. And so that would mean when it says clip 60, that doesn't mean 60 shots. That means 6 shots every fire. So you got 10 shots with it.
Yeah, so that clip 60 is your total ammunition for that gun. So depending on your rate of fire, so yeah, with the Reaper launch, you have 10 rounds worth of fire. Where if you did nothing but fire that gun for 10 rounds, which actually equates to about an entire minute of just firing that gun non-stop before it actually runs out of ammo.
Yeah. And so where it says 2 full on reload, that means I'm guessing 2 full turns, like
Yep,
rounds to reload it.
that's correct. So 2 full rounds to reload an entire clip.
So, where did you get all the information for your gear? Because I don't have any stats.
He sent through an Excel sheet with all the weapons and armor and stats and everything.
It should have
Oh,
been
right.
in the same sort of thing that I
Yeah,
sent. Like it was all in the same document.
yeah. I completely ignored all the other files. I was just looking at the ones like the character creation stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's the one that says Craftworld Elder Weaponry,
Yep, cool.
and that's got all the stats for everything on it.
So I suppose just to confirm with you, Freeze, your basically the weapons that you picked up um, you picked up the obviously the Reaper launcher.
Yeah, it says I got the Reaper launcher, the Shuriken pistol, a Xenos fighting knife, which I'm guessing doesn't really have stats or anything. It's
It
more
does.
base.
It's very very weak. It's fourth down the list in terms of the Craftworld Eldar melee weapons.
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so I've got to put that in there.
So it's kind of like your backup weapon.
Yeah,
And
and I think they're the only 2 weapons I have.
yeah, so
3.
just for your talents, there was the heavy weapon training choose one, and then the exotic weapon training choose one. For that one, what did you choose there? I know I kind of left it open, but if you were going to pick the Reaper launcher, there was kind of like a purpose for those two.
So wait, Where was it saying that? Oh, heavy weapon training. Okay, choose one in exotic. So the exotic weapon training, I'd guess I'd have to pick the Reaper launcher.
Yes,
Since
and
it.
the heavy weapon training is the launcher subtype. So, for instance, because of that, you can actually pick up um, if as when you take the basic weapon training talent uh, as part of your rank one potential advances, because you already have the launcher
Yep.
training as a Dark Reaper, you can basically say I'm now fairly proficient just general launcher weaponry, so you can pick up a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher of a human sort.
Yep.
Yeah, the only reason why I left that kind of open is that I I realized as I was making that I could keep it open and then give the option. It's just like, well, if you didn't feel like being a Dark Reaper, it's basically the exact same sort of skill set if you feel like being, say, for instance, a Fire Dragon.
Yep.
Right. Um, so I know that tonight was a bit of an information dump, hence why uh, kind of wanted to run these sessions because 40k RPGs by themselves are quite complex, and these
Yep.
extra rules kind of
The easiest way to
make
learn it is just to play. I've found once you start playing, figure the rules out, and
yeah.
Yeah, it helps quite a lot.
Hmm. I suppose it's just good to get everyone kind of on the same page that we're not forgetting about stuff that you have access to. It's just like I really wish I had that. Oh wait, I do.
Holy shit, there's rules for throwing the singing spear. Why would I do that?
There are.
I think if it's working like the game, this a throwing singing spear is actually a really powerful anti-tank weapon.
Yes. The
Oh wait, no, it recalls automatically. No worries. I was just thinking, why would I not want that near me all the time? Power
um
field.
Yeah,
I
it's like a
don't I
tank killer.
yeah I didn't actually include it on that thing, but I'll let you guys know now. In terms of the uh, sort of witch blades and singing spears and things like that, uh, they have a special quality called the Witch Edge. A weapon with the Witch Edge quality that also has access to the Secrets of the Seer's talent, which I believe no one currently has, but I will be including that talent into the Warlock advanced career path, alternate career path. A weapon with the Witch Edge quality adds an additional bonus to damage equal to twice the user's strength bonus, and a penetration to damage equal to the user's base psi rating.
Ooh.
And just
So that
FYI,
strength I've got will actually come in handy.
yep. So just as an FYI for that, um, Rise, your current psi rating as a first level character is a psi rating 3,
Yep.
and by the time you get to a Warlock, you'll be about a psi rating 6.
Sweet.
And Warlock, basically, because Rise has started out as a seer, his psi rating will be higher than yours when you become a Warlock freeze, but you'll have the opportunity to spend experience to buff yours up pretty quickly though.
Yep.
Keep in mind, you'll also be better at war aspect stuff than I am by far.
Well, I think technically the seers don't become warlocks, but
It's I've fluffed it because a seer that becomes a fast seer is pretty darn, and also the fact you're kind of embodying the path of the warrior by simply being out here, sort of thing.
Well, the fun thing about Eldar is I don't think you can really chalk it up to rules because I can just put my hand up and go, I'm a fucking gardener, and run off. Eldar are just like, I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this. And like the only real thing with the fast here is kind of going, nah, I'm going to keep doing this, and everyone gets scared.
yeah, I'm just going to be
Nah,
really good at this.
Nah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna keep doing this and eventually turn into crystal.
yeah, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, she's pretty alright. Let's put her in the middle of a ship." Eldar are weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the exa the I've had to to try and balance it. The way I'm thinking it so far is that if you want to become an exarch or a farseer, is that you have to be partially insane to begin with.
Not a problem. I will so work on that. What are you trying to do? I don't know, but I'm gonna push it.
Oh god. Please tell me you are aware of the psychic phenomenon and the perils of the warp tables.
I'm aware of them. I haven't read through all of it.
I haven't.
Um,
I don't know about the tables, but I am familiar with problems with going into the warp.
Let me just read out some of the delightful, delightful things.
I know there's got to be a point where you just sort of just get taken over by a demon, isn't there?
Um, if he rolls badly enough, which is so for perils of the warp, to trigger perils of the warp on a psychic phenomena, you need to roll a 75 plus on a D100 dice. So
25%
25% chance.
on the 25% chance you trigger perils of the warp, on that perils of the warp, on a 10% chance you die outright.
Brilliant. I
Oh
assume I
wait,
can
no.
still use fate points to like work against that.
Yes, you can. You spend a fate point to re-roll that one thing. Re-roll the psychic phenomenon and re-roll the perils of the warp. You can still
Yeah.
burn a fate point to save your life, but still. Oh,
Yeah. Cool.
actually, sorry. It's a 1% chance of uh, if you roll a natural 100 on a perils of the warp uh result, it's labeled destruction. The psychic is immediately and irrevocably destroyed. He is sucked screaming into the warp, never to be seen again, or he is utterly consumed by hellfire. There is a 50% chance that a demonic entity appears in the psychic's place.
If that happens, let's just run with this. Can I take over control of the demon as the player? Oh. Like, hey guys, and then proceed to try to eat everyone.
You know,
No, see, that's the worst, but there's also another one which I've found quite much hilariousness from.
Mm.
Cataclysmic Blast. You can
Oh
A
god.
cataclysmic blast can only occur on a roll of 79 to 82, but the Psyche's power overloads, arcing out in great bolts of warp energy. Anyone within 1d10 meters, including the Psyker, takes 1d10 plus 5 energy damage, and all of the Psyker's clothing and gear is destroyed, leaving him naked and smoking on the ground.
Oh god. That's not good.
So, basically, you don't ever want to provoke perils. If you're
I
provoking
kind
perils,
of
you're
want.
doing something.
I really want someone else to hold on to my friggin' spirit stone. Just like one step right behind Freeze and just have him carry it.
what does favored child of Isha do? I'm looking at that one, and looks like you can only take that when you're creating the character.
Yeah, it's I wrote it in the Eldar character creation. It's one of the special talents.
Where is
Um,
that? It's this one. Oh, yeah, there it is. Auspicious sign, seen all around a symbol a lot. Advances at the lowest right, with simple advancing is costing 100. Hang
it
on,
means
wait.
you're actually a nice person. Oh wait, that expert advance should actually be at I believe 750, not 1,000
So it makes all the advances cost less
for fellowship only.
for fellowship. Okay, so what a fellowship.
It's basically the socializing aspects.
Ah, yeah, I'm a Dark Reaper, not a. Although I rolled relatively high on that fellowship score.
It's actually funny. Probably the most sociable person out of everyone here is tied between faction as a fire warrior and techie as a mechanicus.
Yeah, I don't think I'll worry with that.
That was just a fluff thing. That was one of the things available for a Dark Eldar, so I thought, I'll just adapt it across and see if anyone wants to use it.
Nah.
Okay, Rise, just reading up on the rules on psychic techniques.
Yep.
You start off with the telepathy discipline.
Rightio.
So you're good at like sort of sending messages through the warp sort of thing.
So when I click that and do
Yep.
that, and that comes up, does that is that taking into the account the 6 shots or?
That is that's the number of shots that that's the damage that you deal for one shot only. And the way a full auto burst works, let me just get the rules. Basically, the way a full auto burst works is that the greater your degrees of success, so for instance, there you've got 2.9 degrees of success. The more
Yeah.
degrees of success that you score, which is like the lower that you roll beneath your target number, the more times that you score a hit.
So lower is better.
Lower is better.
So like up
So
there we've got.
actually, sorry. So the actual result on the die, the lower is better, but the more degrees of success that you score, the better.
Okay, yep.
So for instance, as a full auto burst action, each degree of success scores an extra hit. So on a simple success, so like with, say for instance, if you rolled and got like 0.5 degrees of success, you still scored a hit.
Yeah,
But for
so
every
like anything minus is nothing. You,
any
you miss.
minus is a miss.
Yep.
But for instance, that last roll that you did, that's 2.9 degrees of success. You nearly got 4 shots there, but that's only 3. So you get 1 for a basic success plus 1 more for each degree of success.
Okay, so only. So you got to get the full 1 to get a hit, though, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So only 2
Unless
of
you
those
like,
shots.
so it's only for the standard. If you just succeed, so like you barely succeed even on like a point 0.1, you still hit them once. For every full degree of success, you get a hit on top of that standard 1.
Okay, so out of the 6 shots I fired there, 2 hit. Is that correct?
No, that actually you scored 3 because if you highlight the number, you had to roll underneath a 42. You scored a 13. So
Okay, yep.
you you were over 20 below, so you scored 1 for rolling below 42, and then for each 10 full 10 below that, you scored another hit.
Okay, so that's 3.
So just yeah. So the way it works is if you score a success, regardless of your degrees of success, you score at least 1 hit.
Okay, so
In terms
so everything positive you will get auto 1, and then for each full 1 you get another 1.
That's only if you perform a full auto burst. If you perform a semi-auto burst, say for instance you're like firing 3 shots in quick succession with a shuriken pistol, uh, you would need a score uh, for every 2 degrees of success. You get an extra shot.
Yep.
So
So that's why you were saying the faster you fire, the more chance you've got to hit
yeah,
him.
so it's it's actually something they changed in later rule books in terms of how that works. But I actually kind of don't mind the rogue trader system because you kind of have to do that, like decide whether it's worth it to stand still and just fire for one turn without ducking behind cover. So just for instance, just for that roll there, you rolled a 13. So 13 um, turns around and becomes a 31, which is the body. Because you scored multiple hits, it's a bit of a different system in terms of how that's allocated. So the first shot hits the body, the second shot hits the body, the third shot hits the right arm, and if you manage to get more shots, it would hit something else again. And obviously, you can only score a number of hits equal to the maximum number of bullets that you're firing, or number of missiles that you're firing.
Yeah.
So I think the maximum as it currently stands for a weapon is... oh yeah. They have heavy stubbers and auto guns, which currently can fire 10, or heavy bolters.
So that roll there, that wouldn't take it into account any. I haven't added any bonuses or anything to that, so you'd add that.
Yeah, so you'd probably, if, for instance, in terms of your character sheet, just for example, when you did the roll, yeah, so you click to do the, where would you do the roll?
Just on the R and range weapons.
Oh, right, yeah, roll. So for that, you do like modify, and it's just like add a modify. Maybe? No?
Well, if I click it, it comes up with modifier, so say +5 random number. So it's done the 42 plus 5.
Oh, yeah, so what you did just then was right.
Wait, don't you want to roll lower? So why you wouldn't get a would it be a plus or a minus if you're getting
So,
bonuses?
in terms of that one, basically what that effectively does is that it adds onto your score that you're trying to beat. So, for instance, if you had like with a range increment, say for instance you got into fairly close range, you had a +10 on your attack roll. Uh, for instance, what you would do in that situation is that you add that 10 onto your characteristic score, and effectively what it does is it increases the score that you're trying to beat. So it increases like a 33 to a 43. So instead of rolling under 33, you now need to roll under 43. So you have a greater chance of beating a 43 than a 33.
Okay, so on that one there, so it was 42 plus 5 is what I'm trying to beat, but I rolled an 83.
Hmm.
Okay, that makes sense now.
So like because a 42 plus 5 becomes a 47, and because you rolled an 83, that's minus 3.3, 3.6 degrees of failure, which,
Yep.
depending on the gun you're wielding, that many degrees of failure might actually end badly. Like, for instance, if you rolled something like that on a dodge check, because a dodge check will enable you to dodge out of the way of incoming fire, if you rolled something like that on a dodge check, it might even turn into something like
Dodge into
you,
the round.
yeah, you dodge into the rounds potentially. Yeah, like with that one, what did you roll there? Yeah, unfortunately you were trying to beat a 39 and you rolled a 49, so you just missed dodging out of the way.
Yeah.
So I'm actually I like the fact that it's actually uh, it's a little bit more clearer than the Pathfinder roller because the Pathfinder one was a little bit confusing, whereas this one's pretty easy to see exactly what it is.
Yeah. The only thing I've noticed, it doesn't automatically reduce from the clip or anything,
So yeah. Um,
unless I'm missing some data somewhere.
Maybe. Don't quite know. What have you got? Clip. Yeah, I think it's just like it includes it in the roll so that it tells you like this is your maximum clip.
Okay,
So
so then
for exa
so now I've fired there, so that was at 60 then, so I'd take the 6 rounds off then, so next time I roll,
yeah, so it's
it'll just
probably
remind me that I've got 54 so I'd take another.
yeah. So it's in that instance in terms of ammunition, it's something that would probably be um it might be something probably more beneficial just like note down on the spare piece of paper rather than having to go back and change it every time
Yep.
because obviously, uh, there are will be situations where you will need to reload, particularly when your gun jams, because when your gun jams, basically the way it works is that for instance, for a las weaponry or plasma weaponry, it basically burns out the battery and you need to replace the battery. But for a missile launch or something like that, basically the firing mechanism jams and you have to clear it out and basically toss away most of the clip. You can recover most of the clip, but for the purposes of firing, you can't use that clip straight away.
Okay, yeah, so it'd take like an action to recover the clip after you've.
Yeah. So you need to spend if a gun jams, you need to spend the required reload time of the weapon to uh, re- clear the jam and reload a new clip. There is actually a talent called Technical Knock, which I think Techie at the moment is or Techie and the Tower, they're currently the only ones who can do it, as it's a talent. Basically, they can be like, "Oh, our weapon's jammed. I'll just, basically jam the butt of the gun into the ground and knock loose the jam."
Okay, so the next question is, what is thrown gelt?
That is, throwing gelt is basically money, but
Ah,
uh,
and then it's got monthly under it.
yeah, that's a hangover of the Rogue Trader system, unfortunately. Sorry, hangover of the Dark Heresy system, because Dark Heresy is much more focused on sort of keeping track of money. The Rogue Trader system is just the way the Rogue Trader system is designed is that you have so much money that you're generally not going to worry about it. For this story though, we're going to keep track of it to an extent, but we're not really going to make use of the Throne Gelt monthly thing.
Yep. I think that's all. It's got weapon training there and just 2 blank boxes on talents and traits, and a
Uh,
blank box for underneath that as well.
There's 2 sections for talents and traits, and one thing I've noticed, for some reason, whatever you write in the first one of one, it turns up in the other one. Like it just overwrites whatever's there. I don't know why there's separate ones and why it does that.
hmm.
It may just be a quirk of the
It
sheet.
might be. It might
Mine
be
seems to
something.
be working okay there.
So if on the
Oh,
right
there,
hand
no,
side
no,
at the
yeah,
topmost
yeah.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah,
so when you go on that bottom one, yeah, it pops up straight away over there.
yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, I believe it's probably just
And
something to.
at some point, my ranged weapon was deleted. Everything
What?
else is there, and the special rules for it are, but the name and damage and stuff are gone.
Huh. Clearly the warp's working against you already.
Oh crap!
So when it pops up weapon training, what's that like? What are you putting in there?
Oh, that's weapon training, so that would be your default weapon training. So for you at the
We
moment,
had craft world weapons, I think it was.
yes, you all have Craft World, and you Freeze have two extra ones because you're an aspect warrior, which is the exotic Reaper launcher and the heavy weapon training.
Okay, so it's weapon training exotic. So what's the two boxes for? The one before it and the one after?
Um, two boxes. I'm not
So you got a
entirely
blank
certain.
box, then the word weapon training, then another blank box.
That one would be the type of weapon training. So for you, in
So
that first,
like heavy and exotic.
so yeah, so like for the first one, heavy weapon training launcher, and then you go exotic weapon training Dark Reaper launcher, and then you go Craftwell weapon training just Craftwell, and that should
So
work.
if I wanted to go heavy, I don't.
Huh.
Do I have to pick launcher or?
Uh, in order to basically
Because if I've got
function.
the exotic as Reaper launcher, does that mean I can pick pretty much anything for heavy?
Basically, yes, although your training would lead you more towards a launcher than anything else, but it wouldn't necessarily preclude you from picking up something else because the exotic weapon training kind of overrides everything.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if I go that, then I can pick something a little more conventional there. So I've got another sort of something that's not so narrowly useful.
Fair enough. So, yeah, so if you've got exotic weapon training, Dark Reaper launcher, and you've got the Craftworld weapon training, so you can pick up any of the ordinary Craftworld stuff,
Yeah.
but the heavy weapon training can be anything. So, for
Well,
instance, if you could pick up and be effective at wielding a shuriken catapult, a shuriken cannon.
wouldn't be much point. It's pretty much almost identical, just with shorter range.
True.
And what about weight? Because it looks like I'm carrying a lot of weight there.
Um, there were rules on that.
Oh, that was something I was going to mention in that Excel document. The Witchblade says it's 40 kilos. I'm
Does it?
guessing that was a typo.
Yeah, that sounds wrong.
I think it was
Oh
the
no.
Witchblade.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah,
uh,
40
Shit.
kilos.
Huh. I don't know how that ended up. It's actually 1.5. It's not even like a standard type. I'm just like, what?
I'm going to blame Excel.
Probably. Uh, man, that's a derp and a half. I went for the 1.5 and got the 40 instead. Yes, in terms of weight, generally for the most part, it's not a huge concern.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything that's mentioning weight or anything like that.
What's your toughness and strength bonus combined?
Toughness and strength combined is 7.
7. You can effectively carry 45 kilos. However, your aspect warrior armor assists in basically carrying those things for you. For the most part, I'm basically not going to be too concerned about that. I'm only really going to be like, you look like you're carrying a bit too much, sort of thing. For the most part, I'll be like, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. And it's just the launcher I've got there. It's got 25 kilos written on it.
Yeah, so funnily enough, you can actually wield that effectively. Because of your combined strength and toughness, you can actually carry that and a bit extra. Obviously, you're not going to be as light and fast as, say, Nob will be because of his lighter aspect armor, but yeah,
I don't really need to be.
true.
Sit up the back and let everyone else run in.
Mm. Alright.
Okay, yeah, I see.
I suppose I might call it there, as I realise we've been going for about close to nearly 3 hours now. Actually, shit.
I've just been kind of running through stuff and familiarizing myself and just listening in.
Honestly, that was the point of this, to sort of like, if you guys have questions, like bombard me now, so that we're not kind of getting ourselves stuck in the first session.
Yeah, I think I'm good for now, but if I come up with anything, I'll probably write an email or something.
All good.
Well, I don't know. If it's something that it doesn't specifically need to be kept from people, I might put it in Tay and tag people. That way, if anyone else comes up with that question,
That
it
might
might
be a
save
better
time.
idea. Although even if we hadn't thought of the question, there it is. Like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that.
That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I can work with either. Um, I didn't get a chance to ask Puppet before he left, but what's your guys' general availability in terms of like a night in the week you can sort of dedicate for this once every fortnight?
Not Wednesdays.
I'm
Fair enough.
pretty sure as long as I have notice, I can plan my nights around it.
Hmm. My thinking so far, the general consensus I got from uh, Faction Knob and Techie was that Tuesday nights, um, generally probably the best out of everything.
That would
Rightio.
be that would be fine for me.
And I'd run it in the off week of the Pathfinder, so that we're not like doing 2 days back to back.
Yeah, fair enough.
So at this stage, probably looking to do probably a session 2 weeks time. So that would be um, Tuesday the 22nd.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll sort of send around an email, get people's opinions, and organize something for the first session. So
Rightio.
and see what's what. I'll give plenty of notice, so if anything pops up, we'll adapt and change.
Yep, okie doke. Well, I think I'm probably not really going to go anywhere. I'm actually grabbing all the info off the Roll20 sheet and putting it on that other sheet you gave us, partially because it has room for the psychic stuff, whereas the Roll20 one, either I'm missing it or it doesn't. God
It's got
damn it, it's the attributes and
mine's
abilities tab. I saw that, like I missed and saw that before, and I've just done it again. Anyway, considering
the,
that pistol
the
disappeared,
sheet
it
I'm
probably
looking
isn't a
there's
bad
got
idea to put back up.
the sheets I've got here's got psychic powers written there.
Yeah,
Whereabouts? Oh, that stuff,
it's
yeah. There seems to be an issue as the more I add stuff, the less the sheet seems to be interested in expanding because I'm adding a lot of crap to it.
uh,
Like, it's still getting bigger, but I think I'm going to run out of space.
well, that'll be a first. I've never seen this sheet be broken.
Yeah, I think there might be something funny going on my end, so I'll have to look into it.
I suppose that's the thing. The entire character sheet thing's actually still relatively new-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put your psychic power in there, and then when you click the psi, it actually asks for your psi rating, and then you click that, and then your modifier on top of that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then it goes for a roll. It doesn't seem to have a spot to save your psychic psi rating.
I think it automatically works it out based on all your because
No, if I
it's
click the psi
automatically.
roll, it asks for what the rating is, and it just says 1.
Yeah, mine's saying 1, unless there's
Although,
something.
No,
maybe I have to, I don't know. There's not really a spot I can put that in as a
there isn't
talent to
really.
have it
No.
automatically do it.
Um, It kind of falls under a talents and traits thing, but I don't know how you'd get it so that it would automatically roll that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Have a look at it, but I mean, like, Gotta admit, that's a pretty terrifying thing to see Longredolf draws on the power of the warp.
Oh god.
So, you, just out of curiosity, you know how psychic power tests work?
Nope.
No.
So the general way it works is that you've got three options in how to apply your psychic power. The easiest one to do is fettered, which means that the psychic power always goes off, but it's at half power
Oh,
basically.
right. Yeah, I do actually have that on one of those sheets. I was reading through it before. Yeah, wherever it was.
Um, I'll need to brush up
Yeah, fettered,
myself on
unfettered,
the
and push.
yeah. I'll need to brush up myself on exactly how it works, but um, basically a focus power test is depending on the psychic power that you're willing to manifest. It's generally based on your psyniscience, so it's a psyniscience skill test, or depending on the psychic power, it actually the psychic power will tell you if it's a psyniscience or if it's a willpower test. So you would simply roll your willpower or um, roll your psyniscience to determine if it's successful.
Your
Base,
Psynicians.
it's a skill, so
It's
it's
such
an
a crappy
advanced skill.
name.
Yeah,
Like
well, it's basically
PSYNI and then science.
psi science. That's probably easier to say, psi science.
Yeah,
So they're
Yeah,
trying to say
basically,
prescience, but they're like, it's psychic prescience.
I
I don't know.
think so. Actually,
But
there's the odd thing. It was listed as a perception skill. I thought that was kind of
it
odd.
is actually a perception skill, which is wonky.
Yeah,
The way
Well, if it's
Psynish,
prescience, if it's meant to be like a prescience wordplay, then perception would make sense there.
yeah, but
yeah,
then wouldn't it be like psychic prescience be willpower? Anyway,
yeah, it's kind of
It's
the
more
way they
notice
describe it.
knowing it's coming rather than resisting it.
Yeah, it's sensing the currents and eddies of the warp. So basically, you know, determine the presence of like warp powers and things like that. So it
yeah,
kind of, for the most part, it only really uh will work on like sort of telepathic things, like telepathy or sort of foresight psychic powers. For the most part, it's a straight willpower test to test a psychic power.
fair enough.
In fact, it doesn't actually. Oh no, yeah, you can just do a straight willpower test. So, um, in any case, for pretty much anything higher than a fettered uh, psychic test, so unfettered or push,
Mm.
if you roll doubles on a psychic power test, you roll on psychic phenomena. So if you roll 33, 44, 99, you roll psychic phenomena. So your actual chances of triggering psychic phenomena, it's rather limited. However, for an elder, it's actually worse because you're more connected to the warp.
Yay.
So if you decide to do anything, if you decide to do an unfettered psychic power test, if you roll doubles or you fail your focus power test, you trigger psychic phenomena. For a standard human psyker, it's only if you roll doubles. You can still fail and nothing bad will happen.
I think I need to look at that table at some point and see just what I can do incorrectly.
For curiosity's sake, psychic phenomena and perils of the warp table, page 160 and 161 of the core book.
Cool. I'll have to have a look at that.
It's yeah, everything. It's everything from very mild things all the way up to you're dead. Mind you, the ever since Nob actually made the comment about Weird Boys, I went and read up on those. Yeah, You think a 25% chance of things bad happening is bad? Try a 50% chance.
Shit. Radio. I am going to leave the rest of that stuff there for now and deal with it later. I think the big thing for me is going to be, like, I still have to figure out some of my talents and my techniques, and I'll probably have to create macros for them just to make it simpler.
Should be. Hopefully the character sheet is suitable to do that, but I mean, yeah, I can't imagine macros being that tricky to set up.
Yeah, oh, there's like just under the actions, the attributes and abilities thing, you go to add an ability, and it's literally just setting it up as a macro.
Oh, yeah, true. Alright then, cool. Well, we just hit 11 o'clock, so it's probably best time to leave it at that.
Yep. Alrighty, thanks very much, and I'll give you a shout if I come up with anything else.
All good. This will be going up on YouTube straight away, so it might take a while to sort of transfer across and reconfigure, but it'll be up in case you want to go back and watch anything.
Yep, cool.
Too easy.
I'll speak to you guys soon, and I'll send around something just confirming dates for the first session.
Radio, catch you later.
No problem. Thanks for coming, guys.
So yeah.